England is full of hidden gems, but some gems aren't so hidden. Burghley House and the town of Stamford on the Cambridgeshire-Lincolnshire border have charmed filmmakers, historians and travellers for generations. And they did a pretty good job of charming me too. So come along as I explore them both. I started my trip at Burghley House. The estate is around 10,000 acres and there's a wonderful deer park, and you might be lucky to see them as you drive in. There are plenty of places to eat and drink in the grounds, including the orangery and this cafe where you can bring your dog. And dogs are also welcome in the parkland. It's here that you'll get the best views of the glorious Elizabethan house. Built by William Cecil, the First Lord Burghley and Lord High Treasurer to Elizabeth I. He was her most trusted advisor and built the house in the shape of an E in honour of his queen. Alas, she never visited, but she probably would have been impressed. It's hard not to be with the number of windows at a time when glass was very expensive indeed. You enter the house through the original kitchen with a fan-vaulted ceiling and enormous range and copper pans. The tiny skulls belong to the poor turtles used to make soup in the 18th century, served in the copper tureen here. From the kitchen you pass the bells of the house and arrive at the Roman staircase with its fabulous barrel vaulting decorated with Tudor emblems. It's the only original staircase at Burghley and goes right up to the roof. Alas, visitors don't have access today, so we'll just have to use our imaginations. This is one of those houses where you spend a good portion of your time looking up at the stunning painted ceilings, such as here in the bow room. And looking closely for hidden details like this wonderful painted door. And sometimes you even have to look down in order to look up. And don't forget to look out of the windows too, into the grand Elizabethan courtyard and the landscape gardens. The enfilade leads through the staterooms filled with treasures collected from grand tours of Europe through the 17th and 18th centuries. Burghley has a fine collection of paintings and has a special guidebook you can buy if you want to find out more about them as you tour the house. I always enjoy the portraits when visiting historic houses and loved spotting William Cecil and Elizabeth I and Henry VIII. And this might just be the only room in England where there are portraits of Charles I and Oliver Cromwell together. There's also a delightful portrait of Lancelot Capability Browne, the famous 18th century landscape designer. And photos of the family who call this place home today. But perhaps the room Burghley is most famous for is the Heaven Room. You may recognise it from the 2005 film Pride and Prejudice, when the house became Rosings, and where Dame Judi Dench sat so stately as Lady Catherine de Bourgh. This is the masterpiece of Antonio Verrio, the Italian Baroque painter, showing Olympian gods and classical architecture. Look out for the exquisite rainbow. Another feature of the room is the wine cooler, which is the largest solid silver one in existence. Leaving heaven, you enter the Hell Staircase, again by Antonio Verrio, where the mouth of hell belongs to a cat. The wall paintings were added at the beginning of the 19th century. there's a portrait of Lady Victoria Leatham, whose daughter and family now live at Burghley. You finish your self-guided tour through the Great Hall with a magnificent double hammer beam roof. Elizabeth I might not have managed to visit Burghley, but Queen Victoria and Prince Albert did. And this delightful picture shows them here with musicians playing in the Minstrels Gallery above. We're venturing outside now and entering the sculpture garden, where I found a bench with lovely views for a little open-air picnic. I then took my time admiring Capability Browne's lake. It was fun spotting all the sculpture in the grounds, and spring is a wonderful time to visit with so many blooms to enjoy. Don't miss the surprise garden. It has some, well, truly surprising features. It was a lot of fun to explore the garden rooms, which were neatly divided by yew and hornbeam hedges. The market town of Stamford is just down the road from Burghley House and shouldn't be missed. The Sunday Times recently declared it as Britain's top place to live, and you can see why with the lovely River Welland running through it. This was one of the most important routes from London to the north, with many coaching inns, and there's still a lot of traffic today. But it's remained largely unspoilt and is known for its beautiful Georgian architecture. We started our tour with a visit to St Martin's Church, where the tomb of William Cecil of Burghley Hall lies, surrounded by some of his descendants. Made of marble and alabaster, it's an impressive sight, and definitely worth seeing after a trip to the magnificent home he built. One of the reasons I wanted to visit Stamford was because it's a popular filming location. It played Meryton in Pride and Prejudice, and the BBC adaptation of Middlemarch had many of its scenes shot here. Naturally, I had to find some of the locations used. We found many of the streets and squares, including this church where Dr. Lydgate and Rosamond Vincy were married. And if you'd like to find some of the locations yourself, here's a key few places to look out for. We found the house that Dr. Lydgate and Rosamond Vincy took once married. It's good to see it being looked after today. But it was Barn Hill that was my favourite location. This street is gorgeous, full of Georgian charm. And the stunning Barn Hill house became the exterior of Dr. Lydgate's hospital in Middlemarch. Speaking of hospitals, don't miss the impressive Browne's Hospital, founded in the 15th century by wool merchant William Browne. And this lovely row of Alms Houses. There are some delightful shop fronts and signs in Stamford, which give it a wonderful old world charm. And there are more boot scrapers than I've ever seen anywhere else, although I doubt very much if they're still in use today. Thank you so much for joining me on this day out. If you've enjoyed seeing these places, do subscribe to the channel and come along on future outings. I'd love to have your company.